I think this is part 16. So the Fishery Protection Squadron was also linked with Samuel Pepys, which wasn't a connection I was expecting to find. Couldn't find much about what it did. I know it was based in Devonport during the war. And I wrote down on the 6th of June and on the 21st of the 7th, the ship was in and around Gibraltar in the Mediterranean. I didn't write down the year. And then on the 16th of April 1945, it was at Loch Ash as part of a practice attack with other ships. That's up in the Highlands. And I think the 6th of June reference might have been 1941. So I was thinking, were there links to movements after Pearl Harbor or around that time, and possibly prophesied by Eliot with the kimono in Japanese print? Franklin Roosevelt was present during the attack. His wife was Eleanor. There are letters from Franklin Roosevelt to Mr. Cowain, Madison Cowain, the poet who wrote the original Wasteland, including dated 22/8/1907, where Roosevelt mentions their respective Dutch and German ancestors' pilgrims, and Cowain replies on the 25th of 8th, 1907, mentioning the family's Huguenot heritage. July 23rd, 1910, Roosevelt writes in the Outlook publication of Cowain's dedication to songs of birds and flowers, presumably the language of. I think Roosevelt wrote one more review in the Outlook. I haven't had time to look at the Outlook, but I suspect there are interesting things to find there. I went on a bit of a tangent because it's getting on my nerves that I can't work out who Phlebas is. So, Phlebas. Flee as in to flee somewhere, or a flea as in the John Donne poem, which alluded to bloodsuckers, succubus, vampires. And then bass is a fish, also a military bass, and it's an instrument. The bass is associated with, or the bass even, with Poseidon. In World War II, there was Operation Poseidon, the German code name for the occupation of Samos in Greece, and our reports about that mention the Turkish port of Smyrna, so I thought of the Smyrna Merchant. The long-range desert group with, I think, is it Arthur Bagnold, operated from those smaller islands, but obviously they were taken over by the Germans. So the short part of that is I didn't get to the bottom of who it was. The next few lines I can't decipher, except unreproved is a very weird word. Exploring hands possibly relates to palms and the phoenix. They encounter no defence could be a prophecy about not being defended, so easy to access somewhere. Vanity could be a dressing table, also linked with Narcissus. Welcome of indifference, I thought of well, as in a water well, and come. But that doesn't seem to fit with the rest of the passage, which sounds like it's a very unfulfilling sexual encounter. The bed, I think, relates to corpse and death in hieroglyphic. Interesting, I also found coverlet, which may relate to like ATT and those stuff hanging out on the washing line. And sat below the wall, the seven-gated wall of Thebes, I think relates to Hercules again, Sweeney. Anyway, that's as far as I got. Thanks for listening.